Listen, the Saints played this last week.
I guess we can do that.
We could talk about that. How you feeling about the Saints, man? That's how you transition. That's a segue. I'm not talking about the scooter thing.
I kept telling myself that I would not get my hopes up for this season no matter what. And it gets harder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm just trying to temper expectations because everybody looks so good.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. I want to know if you feel the same way. That first drive felt like it had more creativity in it than I saw all of last year.
Yeah, I thought to myself during the first drive, I was like, man, Pete came out with something to prove.
Pete was in his bag. I don't know why.
And in my head, I was like, but why are we proving it in game 1 of the preseason? Like, what does this matter?
Honest to God, if that's as good as it gets, like all year, I'll be happy because it's improvement.
It's true. Well, he definitely mixed it up. You know, I think a lot of it goes to just Carr back there doing his thing, like, you know, making quick reads, making adjustments.
They were throwing Alvin passes. I feel like I ain't seen that in 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited. Listen, and we're not the only ones excited. I'm definitely like staying even keel about it because, you know, stuff happens. You get in the season and all of a sudden it's week 2 and you're like, what happened in week 1? Are we sure this team's good?
Yeah.
I also would say, walking away from that, you know, some glaring things to pay attention to. If the starters get hurt at all, it's a big drop-off. Yeah. No offense to those guys. I'm sure they're working their butts off. But, like, if the starters get hurt, it looked like a drop-off. Now, maybe they get up to speed. Like O-line.
Yeah.
It looked like a steep dive.
But to be fair, I mean, there's not a lot of teams that have a lot of O-line depth.
Yeah. Well, that's what
we usually tend to have 1 or 2 guys that can just play everywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, which we still got James Hurst, and that's our guy that's just going to play all over the line.
You have a lot of guys that are injury prone too, though, on the line.
That's true.
Which is tough.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully Penning can stay healthy. Andres Pete's always hurt. Like, I want those guys to be able to get through it, but, you know.
For me, the most, like, glaring thing is for depth is defensive line and linebacker.
Yeah.
Linebacker feels tough. Like, they got some guys, right? You got DeMario. You got Pete.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a spot for Jalen Smith. I think he got too much talent to not be on the team.
Yeah.
He's going to be like our new Quan, right, where he's just so athletic he can make plays. He may not always be at the right spot, but he can make up for it with athleticism.
You think so? So, admittedly, I didn't really watch him too much last year, and I know he kind of regained a little respect around the league last year, but the end of his time with the Cowboys was just bad. Like, he looked bad.
Yeah, and that's what my cousin-in-law is, a Cowboys fan, and he was like, but he's kind of been adopted the Saints at this point now.
Yeah,
and he's like, there'll be times where he looks like the best player on defense, like on the field, period.
Yeah,
and then there's gonna be times where he looks like he doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah,
which is kind of how I felt about Quan at times.
Listen, maybe if he is a guy that relies on his athleticism, maybe he doesn't take the right angles. I don't know. I've seen him take some pretty bad angles for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Maybe he was a little hobbled up through his time there. Who knows? You know, getting healthy can do a lot for a guy. So we'll see.
But here's the thing. He only needs to be the 4th or 5th guy in a rotation.
Yeah, that bums me out. It was actually interesting to me, too, that you called out the linebacker specifically because I remember watching the whole game, and the whole game I'm sitting there on the couch. The only reason I even watched the whole game was because I was waiting on Nick Anderson to get some run. And he didn't get in until the fourth quarter, I think.
It's tough.
Had a couple of plays. His very first play, and he made a tackle, or he assisted on a tackle. And my wife thought I was crazy because I jumped up. I was like, let's go, Nick. And she's like, you really like this guy. Why? And I'm like, he's just a good dude. Like,
he's just going to have a big game 3. He's going to get a ton of time in game 3.
Yeah.
He's just going to have to show out a little bit.
He
feels like a practice squad guy at best right now.
I mean, I'm rooting for him.
Of course.
I'm definitely rooting for him. We'll see. I think he's got the talent. It's you know how the numbers games work.
Yep.
On these pro teams and their rosters. Seeing 2 other guys that probably aren't even your 2nd or 3rd guy play the majority of the snaps, though, it's like, man, like,
yeah. The area that I'm concerned about overall is the pass rush. Which was the same an issue last year.
Peyton Turner looked good. You didn't think so?
He's okay.
It was an improvement.
Yeah,
there was a noticeable improvement, and that's what I'm excited about.
He was on the field, so yeah, that's an improvement.
He was pushing people around, man. Brzee, you can tell he's very physical.
I like.
He's not polished. He's physical,
Of course.
though.
His size, he's going to win on size and just
Yeah.
athleticism alone.
I think he could be a freak. You give it time.
I'm upset about Foskey.
Yeah?
I thought he would be able to just come in and be good. He looks like he's got the size. He looked like he had the speed, like he was twitched up a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, not saying he can't eventually be good, but so far he was just getting stood up by backups, and I'm like, yeah.
You know,
We'll see.
technique can go a long way. You get out of position, especially in the NFL. I mean, it's you don't really overpower people a lot in the NFL unless you're an absolute freak.
Yeah.
So one other person to call out to mention, Zach Bond. Zach Bond didn't look bad, man. Zach Bond looked solid. Now, granted, he looked better in blitz packages, and we didn't blitz a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But there was like one or two blitzes they dialed up, and he got there.
I thought overall the run defense actually was really good. That was a big issue last year, at least compared to where we were for years before, right?
Yeah.
Like, it looked, and you know, everything's with a grain of salt because it's preseason.
Oh, for sure.
But like, they looked good. They were stuffing the run, and I don't know, just to see some of the things. It was nice to see the issues we had last year already seem to be somewhat addressed and improved a little bit. You know what I mean? The play caller was better. Honest to God, the play like, that's not even a joke. The play calling in this game was better than 85% of the games last year.
And it's kind of funny because it's preseason game 1, which is normally your most vanilla game.
Yeah. So it gives you hope. Like, if that's the vanilla version,
Does it? Maybe I'm still questioning. Is this just
Listen.
what, like, is that how he's going to call plays all year now? It wasn't bad.
Right.
But, like, once people see it, you know, they get, you know,
we'll see.
they adjust. That's why preseason is normally just vanilla. But
I don't think that game really changed my opinion on the team overall, really.
yeah.
Because I didn't have any, like, negative opinions. I didn't feel like there's any way we could really be worse than last year.
Yeah.
You know, last year kind of feels like the floor this year. So I'm like, okay.
You would hope. I mean,
It kind of just solidified, like, all right, we're at least going to be what we were last year. And
yeah.
if it's good health, I think we'll be all right.
Okay. I don't disagree. Yeah, I don't disagree. I think you make a good point. Last year's definitely the floor for me. I think Carr comes in and gives you a lot. I mean, I can't say enough good things about that guy right now. Granted, it was, you know, one preseason game, but you've been hearing great things out of camp, and I've seen the argument, oh, everybody looks good in camp. No, they don't. I don't know. We'll see. Even Jameis looked good for a drive.
Yeah. Well, I mean, once he was with the backups, it was a little rough.
I felt bad because I was like, man, now everybody's gonna kill him again. Like,
yeah,
it was rough.
I want to see a couple things. I want to see. I want to see Hainer with a better offensive line, not just like the worst of the worst that we have.
Yeah.
Right. I want to see that. I want to see more of the punter battle. I really do. Because, like, Blake hasn't done anything.
He's shanking them. He's shanked at least one or two of them.
And then Headley, he didn't have any that, like, blew you away, right?
No.
But it was better than the shank.
Yeah, it depends. I mean,
So-
if you see, if he keeps shanking them, if you keep seeing the inconsistencies, I think there's at least a question to be raised. When
There was a question last year.
you told me in the offseason that what's his name? Headley was our future punter, and I laughed. I was like, ain't no damn way. And now thinking through how last season went, seeing this preseason start, I'm like, man, like,
Well, I mean,
point.
you got to think so he's an Australian style punter with, you know, they're running out to the side and punting. So you got to think he's still kind of adjusting to the stand. I'm sure he can just do that.
Yeah.
But there's some adjustment in game, right? So I'm telling, I would not be shocked at all. And it's just because I've seen Lou Headley more than most people.
What about Groupie? How you feel about Groupie?
I mean, you keep Lutz is gonna be your guy.
Right.
You keep him on the practice squad. You have to.
Because
Oh
he
yeah.
made one game-winning kick.
Well, I mean, if he's anywhere, if he's good at all, you keep him on the practice squad so that you're not having to call Brett Maher out of fucking nowhere again.
Fun fact: Maher plays for the Broncos right now.
Of course he does.
I saw, bro. I purposely watched the Broncos' first preseason game the other day, and I'm going through, and I'm like, huh, that guy used to play for the Saints. That guy used to play for the Saints. And I'm laughing, and then Maher comes on the field, and I'm cracking up. And Victoria's like, what are you laughing at? And I'm like, they even took the crappy kicker we used to have. Oh, man, it's funny. Good times. Dwayne Washington's there now, too. Shout out.
I wish we played them this year. I really do.
Yeah.
I don't even know when the next time we would play them is. But I don't know, man.
I'm so intrigued to see what happens in Denver. I think there's a lot of talent there. I thought there was talent there last year. There's a part of me, I didn't say this on the podcast. I think I said it to you, though, or I said it to somebody else. There's a part of me that, like, I love Sean Payton and everything he's done for us, but now that he's an enemy, I'm like, I kind of want him to fail. That way we could just respect Drew Brees that much more, and everybody will just elevate Drew.
I'm going to have to be an Aaron Rodgers fan when they play.
Wow.
After he did that. After Sean
that's true.
I don't like that.
That's true. Yeah.
It's corny. I don't like that.
Yeah. No, I agree.
And I wouldn't have, and this isn't even like because he's not with us. I wouldn't have liked if he did that here. I liked Petty Sean Payton and all that, but that's just unnecessary.
Petty Sean Payton never.
That's not petty. Like, that's just insulting somebody for no reason. It almost feels like there's a history there we don't know about.
Here's how I took it and why I don't like it. As a respected coach in the league, which Sean Payton is, potentially Hall of Fame. We'll talk about that later. To come out and just totally crap all over another coach, that could hurt his future. Like that could literally hurt his pockets.
And it's like, for what? Because it doesn't help him in any way.
It doesn't. It doesn't help him in any way. And coaching, he talked about it in his book. I read his book. He talked about it in his book. Coaching is a brotherhood. So for him to come out and do that, I was like, damn, dude, like, that's kind of shitty. Like, what happened there?
But I like how Aaron Rodgers. Have you watched Hard Knocks at all?
No.
Hard Knocks is doing Aaron Rodgers good.
Aaron Rodgers is probably a cool dude. He's just kind of a dick, which
He's doing good.
Literally me. So I get it.
It's making him look good. It's I don't know if it's for the cameras or whatever, but like he's helping Zach Wilson every single episode. I don't know if it's the thing where they say Favre didn't try to help him all that much, so he's just trying to be different.
Right.
It is, whatever. Or if he's just kind of like carefree now. He's
right.
I don't know. But something about it, it's making Aaron Rodgers look good. But I like Salah coming in and saying, if you ain't got no haters, you ain't popping. You know what I mean?
Funny. Yeah, it's funny. We'll see. I mean, Rodgers can definitely elevate that man's career one way or another here. So,
yeah,
it ain't gonna matter.